We're shifting the workflow's grand design, leaving old school limits far behind. Forge deeper human connection, a synergy of new direction.
Let's build something brilliant together.
The Marblism Partner Network.
A prospect asks, "How soon can you start?" You answer. 2 days later, they disappear. Then another prospect asks the same question, and that conversation goes quiet too. That may not be a follow-up problem. It may be a friction pattern costing you sales before your dashboard ever shows it. Welcome to Marblism Partner Network, the show that helps entrepreneurs, creators, consultants, and small business owners use Marblism AI agents in real business situations. I'm Eva, the executive assistant at Marblism, being lent here by the Dr. Disruptor Network. We look at practical workflows that help you spend less time in the office and more time with customers. Today, we're going to turn scattered questions, objections, and awkward pauses into something you can actually act on.
I like that we're starting with the awkward pause. Businesses love to measure what happened after the customer left. The pause is earlier. It is the little warning light before the report turns red.
Exactly. A repeated question can look like ordinary customer service. A stalled proposal can look like a weak lead. A comment saying, "I couldn't figure out what was included," can get dismissed as one person being difficult. But put those moments beside each other, and you may find that customers are all circling the same uncertainty.
And the customer usually experiences that uncertainty as effort. They have to call, ask again, compare 3 pages, or wait for someone to explain the next step. They may never say, "Your process has friction." They simply stop moving.
That is the idea behind a friction forecast. Not a giant dashboard, not a complaint scrapbook. A short weekly review that asks, where did customers get stuck this week? And which one of those obstacles is worth fixing first?
That's the trap right there. A team collects 20 issues, color codes all of them, and calls the meeting productive.
A beautiful board of unresolved problems. Every founder's favorite decoration. So the rule is deliberately small. 1 repeated problem, 1 owner, and 1 documented action.
And before we call something a problem, we should ask whether it is a pattern. One unusual complaint might be useful, but it is not automatically a forecast.
Right. Rachel, what do you listen for when you review incoming calls and inquiries?
I listen for questions that sound ordinary but keep returning. What happens after I book? Do I need to prepare anything? Which option is right for my situation? How quickly will someone respond? One question does not prove the business is broken, but if the same question appears across several calls, messages, or forms, then the customer is spending effort to understand something the business may have assumed was obvious. On the sales side, I listen for, "I'll think about it."
I'm not sure we should call that dangerous. Sometimes people genuinely need time, and if we label every delay as friction, we could pressure people who are simply making a careful decision.
Fair. I'll take back the dramatic wording. "I'll think about it" is not evidence by itself. But if several qualified prospects say it right after the same explanation and they never return, I'm not sure I buy that it is just normal hesitation. Then I would test the pattern. Was the concern price? What was included? Timing? Trust? A missing next step? The phrase is vague, but the moment when it appears may not be. That distinction matters. "It costs too much" is broad. "I'm not sure what I get for that price" gives you somewhere to work. The second statement points toward a communication problem, even if the price itself is appropriate.
So we have 2 useful tests already. Does the signal repeat? And can we connect it to a moment where a customer hesitated, abandoned, called again, or needed the same explanation from a team member?
Yes, and I would summarize the signal instead of creating a transcript dump. Keep the general question, the source, and the frequency. Remove names, contact details, and anything the team does not need to make the decision.
Then compare it with sales activity. Which proposals stalled? Which objections repeated? Did people ask for a discount, or did they ask with the price included? Those are very different conversations.
And if we had more of the Marbleism system involved, one agent could organize caller questions, another could examine sales friction, and content or social workflows could show whether the same uncertainty appears in public conversations. But let's keep this useful for a small team. You do not need 6 agents before you can notice one repeated problem.
That is important. The system should reduce work, not create a new job called maintaining the friction laboratory.
Let's put numbers around it. Imagine a small home services company. Over 2 Fridays, the owner sees 9 questions about start dates, 6 requests for a price before an assessment, and 4 proposals that go quiet after customers read the deposit and cancellation language.
My first instinct is pricing. If prospects are asking for a number early, the sales process needs to explain value before the estimate.
Wait, the timing question matters more here. The pricing requests may be normal for this kind of service, but 9 people asking about start dates means the schedule is part of the buying decision.
Okay, that changes the picture.
I would revise the follow-up. After the estimate, the customer gets a short message explaining what is included, the expected timing window, and what happens next. Not a giant brochure, just enough certainty to keep the conversation moving while it is still warm.
Good. So the first choice is not which issue sounds most interesting. It is which repeated uncertainty is tied to the clearest business consequence.
For the caller, I would give the team a consistent answer about timing while leaving room for the actual schedule. Something like, most projects begin within this general window, and we confirm the specific date after the estimate.
That is much stronger than "we'll get back to you." That phrase may be accurate, but it can sound like the request vanished into a cupboard.
And the 4 proposals that went quiet after the deposit and cancellation terms?
I would not improvise a legal interpretation on a call. I would record the general point of confusion, make the customer-facing explanation easier to find, and route the underlying language for qualified professional review if it affects payment, cancellation, rights, or obligations.
So the action could be clarify the process, but not rewrite the contract because an AI said so.
Exactly. We can use AI to organize signals, summarize themes, draft plain language explanations, and prepare questions for review. We cannot use it as a substitute for qualified judgment, and we should not turn sensitive customer information into a shared experiment. Remove personal details, limit access, and process only information the business is permitted to use.
Also, one dramatic comment at 11:43 on a Tuesday night is not a market trend.
Unless it comes with 8 similar comments, 4 stalled proposals, and a support team repeating the same answer every morning.
Exactly. Look across sources. A caller question becomes more important when it also appears in sales notes, website searches, or customer comments. The words do not have to match. The underlying uncertainty does.
And connect it to a consequence. Are people abandoning the form? Are replies taking longer? Are proposals going quiet? Are staff members repeating the same explanation? Friction becomes a priority when it is repeated and expensive.
Let's finish the home services example as if the team were writing its actual forecast. The priority is unclear start dates. The evidence is 9 caller questions and several stalled opportunities. The action is to revise the service page and send a timing-specific follow-up after each estimate. The owner is the operations lead. The review date is next Friday.
That gives the team something to learn from. Next Friday, they can ask whether the question appeared less often, whether customers moved forward faster, and whether staff still had to repeat the explanation.
And if the question is still everywhere, that is not failure. It means the first explanation missed something. Maybe the timing window is too vague, or the follow-up arrives too late. The forecast keeps the team learning instead of guessing.
That is the deeper point. Customer friction is operational data before it becomes a sales report, By the time conversion drops, you may already have weeks of questions, pauses, and repeated explanations sitting in plain sight.
And the customer's own language should stay close to the solution. An internal phrase may sound polished, but the question people ask naturally is often the best starting point for a helpful page, reply, or call script. That is also where the Marblism partner conversation becomes more honest. You are not saying, here are several AI tools, good luck. You are saying, you keep losing time to a repeated customer problem. Let's identify the signal, then match the right agent to the work.
A receptionist agent may help organize recurring caller questions. A sales agent may help examine stalled opportunities and prepare consistent outreach. A content or social workflow may help turn a repeated question into an answer customers can find. The recommendation starts with the bottleneck, not the product list.
And the first version can be very small. One question, one source, one owner. You do not need a perfect system before you make the next answer easier to find.
Before you click anything, think of one question customers have asked more than once. Write down where it appeared, what it may be costing you, and what one change could make the answer easier to understand or act on. That is your first friction forecast.
Start small. The goal is not to become a full-time analyst of every sentence customers have ever spoken.
The goal is to spend less time explaining the same thing and more time serving customers who already understand the value. Thanks for listening to Marblism Partner Network. Subscribe for more episodes on Marblism AI agents, business workflows, and practical growth strategies. Then use the link in the show notes to explore Marblism and the partner opportunity, especially if you want help collecting, clarifying, or acting on those customer signals. Marblism, where your AI agents do the office work so you can do the customer work. See you next time.